This
minute
conference
away.
will now be recorded.
Okay, so it's 7 o'clock and I'm going to call the meeting to order. I do understand that we do have one agenda addition, which is a borrowing resolution that was circulated to council from our Chief Finance Officer, Aaron McAcken. Are there any other additions this evening?
Yes, Your Worship. The meeting we were just at, the letter for.
Thank you. Support letter. Okay, thank you. Any other additions? So Councillor McDougall will address that one under agenda item number 9.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other additions this evening? Okay, with the 2 additions, I would ask for a motion of council to approve the agenda as amended.
Move the agenda as amended.
Okay, so Councillor McIver has moved and seconded by Councillor McDougall. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the agenda is approved. So this evening we don't have any gallery presentations, so we're going to move on to acknowledgements. I do have a few acknowledgements I'd like to make today. So of course, yesterday I'd like to acknowledge Labor Day. And also September 30th at the end of the month is National Truth and Reconciliation Day, also known as Orange Shirt Day. And also I will probably be reaching out to council. We do have a tentative plan that we discussed a little bit around the July 1st discussions. But we do have a plan around some ceremony and celebrations around Truth and Reconciliation that we could be looking at hosting towards the end of the month. But as soon as I have some more information or any plans solidified, I'm happy to circulate information to council with regard to that. I'd also like to acknowledge that September 10th to 19th is the YMCA Welcoming Week. That is the week that the YMCAs nationally are welcoming newcomers to communities. And with that in mind, we do have plans in the works for September 15th, which is Wednesday evening next week. So in the evening at the Port Hawkesbury Community Park, we will be hosting a kind of a newcomers event there. We'll be collaborating on this event with YReach, as well as Raising the Villages with town staff, as well as town volunteers and newcomer volunteers. So of course, all of council is welcome to join in as a volunteer or participant on the evening of the September 15th. So today also, as we were talking about it at our in-camera session, it's the first day of school, so I'd like to acknowledge that and wish all of our students at Tech and Sarek a happy and safe 2021-2022 school year. And I hope that citizens take a little extra time and caution when you're out and about during school days, as now especially school buses and bus stops and students that are walking to and from school. And also I'd like to acknowledge the new school year as well for our NSCC and nautical students at our Strait Area campus, and I wish them a great year as well. And we do have a federal election coming up, so I'd like to offer the best of luck to all of our candidates that are running in this in our constituency. And lastly, I'd like to congratulate our MLA, Alan McMaster, on his appointment to the office of Deputy Premier and also his many other portfolios. So with that, I would ask if council have any other acknowledgements they'd like to make here this evening.
I have 2, Your Worship.
Okay, go ahead.
The first acknowledgement is for Ryan Hayes from Port Hawkesbury. Ryan just turned 16, was drafted in the Quebec Major Junior League draft by Acadie Bathurst, who have 19 returning players this year and 6 returning defensemen, and Ryan was the very last cut, which is a pretty big accomplishment for a 16-year-old. So congratulations to Ryan Hayes. And the second one goes out to a group of people, from a group of volunteers to our public works staff, to our recreation staff, right up to our town staff at the Civic Center, and an amazing group of volunteers I had the pleasure of working with to get the Dan Wheeler Memorial Ball Field ready for provincials this past weekend, held in Port Hawkesbury on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A lot of work went into it. It was very well recognized by the teams from away. It was appreciated. We were able to get about roughly 50 families in town for the weekend, staying in local hotels, eating at the restaurants, doing their shopping. So a big congratulations to everybody that was involved in getting that tournament underway. Thank you.
That's great, Jason. Please pass on my congratulations to Ryan as well. Any other acknowledgements this evening from council? Okay. Our next agenda item, number 6, is the approval of our council minutes. So the first one we have is our special public meeting of June 15th, 2021. I would call for any errors or omissions. Hearing none, I would ask if there are any errors or omissions for a special public meeting dated February 25th, 2021. Business arising from the minutes. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 8, which is our council committee reports. I would hand things over to our Chief Administrative Officer, Terry Doyle, for a report from Committee of the Whole.
Your Worship, the items that were addressed in the June 15th Committee of Whole were ratified at the special public meeting on June 15th that evening. So there's no Committee of Whole report.
Okay, so we will move on then to the approval of the Committee of the Whole minutes. So I would ask Council now to report any errors or omissions. And if there are none, I would ask for a motion to approve the Committee of the Whole minutes dated June 15th, 2021.
I would move to adopt the minutes, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Councillor O'Coin. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the minutes are approved. I would ask at this time if there are any business arising from those Committee of the Whole minutes that Council would like to discuss. Okay, so agenda item number 9, which we have added, is there is one motion coming from in camera with regard to a support letter that has been requested by Bearhead Energy. What is the wishes of council?
Your Worship, I would move that we send a support letter in principle to the Bearhead Management Group.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a seconder?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the motion that's now on the floor, or if you're ready, you can call the question.
Question.
Just on the question, Your Worship, we will receive a letter, the letter before it's officially.
Thank you for your question, Councillor McDougall. So the letter with this motion approved in principle, the expectation will be that the draft of the support letter will be circulated to council, and then once council is satisfied with the final draft, we will have that signed and sent off. Any other questions for the motion that's on the floor? Or you can call the question if you're ready.
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. Okay, so agenda item number 10 is correspondence. We don't have any correspondence here this evening. Agenda item number 11, we do have one proclamation. So in your agenda package, you will find a letter that was sent to us from the Newfoundland and Labrador network of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And as part of their initiative across Atlantic Canada, they're asking communities, municipalities, and cities to proclaim the week of September 6th to 10th, 2021 to be the FASD Awareness Week. So they're asking us to join all of the other communities who have designated the September 6th to 10th to be FASD Awareness Week. And what is the wishes of council with regard to this proclamation? I guess I would ask for a motion of support, and I'm willing to read the proclamation if that's the wishes of council upon approval.
I read the letter, Your Worship. I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine with it, Your Worship, also.
Okay, thank you. So we have a mover and a seconder. Any questions on the motion, or if you're prepared, you can call for the question.
Question.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, so the proclamation reads, Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder Awareness Week, September 6th to 10th, 2021. Whereas fetal alcohol spectrum disorder is a diagnostic term used to describe impacts on the brain and body of individuals potentially exposed to alcohol, FASD is a lifelong disability. Individuals with FASD will experience some degree of challenges in their daily living and need support with motor skills, physical health, learning, memory, attention, communication, emotional regulation, and social skills to reach their full potential. Each individual with FASD is unique and has areas of both strengths and challenges. Whereas FASD NL is a pan-provincial organization that educates, provides support and resources, and raises awareness about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder in Newfoundland and Labrador and Atlantic Canada. And whereas FASD NL is leading a 3-year prevention awareness training and collaborative action project in the 4 Atlantic provinces. And whereas FASD Awareness Week is devoted to raising awareness of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder to improve prevention of FASD and diagnostics and support for individuals with FASD, and broad public awareness helps to put FASD on the map. Therefore, I, Mayor Brenda Chisholm-Beaton, do hereby proclaim September 6th to 10th as FASD Awareness Week in the town of Port Hawkesbury. Thank you, Council, for that support. Okay, so now we're moving on to agenda item number 12 under other business. Okay, so our first item is council expenses. I'll hand things over to our CAO for that review.
Your Worship, council was presented with the expenses for the month of June and the month of July and August. There was one reported expense for the month of June, and there were not any for the month of July and August as information to council.
Okay, thank you. And I guess for any members that are joining us in the gallery, our expenses are always posted on our town website as well for the benefit of accountability and accessibility. Okay, our next item is Police Advisory Citizen Appointment. I will hand things over to Erin McCacken for that item.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we advertised for 2 public members for to sit on the Joint Police Advisory Board for the town of Port Hawkesbury. The applications were due July 16th, and the individuals we're putting forward today have met the qualifications for the volunteers based on the Police Act requirements. So our recommended motion for tonight is that the town of Roxbury approves and appoints town citizens Gerard Livingston and Archie McLaughlin to the Joint Police Advisory Board.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. What's the wishes of council?
I would move that we appoint the 2 residents to the Joint Police Advisory Board, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McDougall. Do we have a seconder?
Second it.
Okay, seconded by Councillor McIver. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. Thank you, Aaron. Was there any?
Your Worship, a point of information here.
Sure, go ahead.
Just one, did we miss one here on 12.1? Is that gender affirming care of Nova Scotia? Or did was that?
Sorry, under other business, we had council expenses on the copy that I have.
On the copy I have gender affirming care in Nova Scotia, Mayor Brenda Chisholm Beaton.
Yeah, we're going to move that forward because it's quite a significant document. We're going to move that forward to our committee of the whole.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, under other business, agenda item 3 is Waterfront Advisory Citizen Appointment. So I'll hand things over to Terry for that discussion.
Yes, Your Worship, we did have a citizen come forward that was interested in working on the Waterfront Advisory Citizens group, but we're just confirming that interest is still in place and reviewing the membership of that committee. So we're not able to move forward with that recommendation this evening.
Okay, thank
We'll
you,
review
Terry.
again in committee of whole.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have meeting format, public, committee of the whole, and advisory committees. Okay, back over to you, Terry.
Yes, so that item, yeah, so I can add a couple of things to this, but this item
Sure.
actually that may have come forward from you as well.
Okay, it's a reoccurring item, I guess, as
Yes.
we have a subcommittee that's formed. We did a little bit of work over the summer, but we do have to meet a few more times. I was actually speaking with Councillor McIver about this morning. But is there anything, I guess, that you need to discuss at this point, Terry, or can we move this one
I can
forward?
say as an while we're here, just as an update. So our advisory committees, we've been starting to schedule and move them forward. I have met with staff, and we have some more staff appointments on the committee, so we have more dedicated support for specifically economic development, for housing, for recreation. So there's some changes being made that side on staff support. Policy is something that's been difficult for us to get going, and I would like to. We do have some policies that have been outstanding. There's been a lot of work done on them, and I think it's important that we consider those moving forward. So we will be looking for a date from council, and my thought is, if it's okay with council, a reoccurring date once per month for a period of time, anyway, until we sort of catch up on that. So Melissa will be going out to council looking for dates that councillors are available for a policy meeting.
That sounds great. Councillor McIver?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Anything to add, Terry?
No, Your Worship.
Okay, perfect. Any questions or comments from council? Okay, hearing none at this point. Our next item, I believe Councillor Coyne has declared a conflict on this item, so he is going to be muting and turning off his camera for this item, so I'll allow just a quick minute for him to do that.
I will be leaving the room. You can just text me when it's over, please.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor O'Coyne. Okay. So the next item is taxi license applications. So I'll hand things over to Terry for this item.
Your Worship, I wanted to bring this forward to council. We have 2 applications for taxi licenses. The first one comes from Straight Area Transit. Straight Area Transit are trying to accommodate a need in town for accessible travel for those, specifically those in wheelchair. So the requirement to have wheelchair vehicles being used to transport people with that need in town. They were using a bus which was covered under their URB license agreement, but that bus is not in service at this point in time. And to stay within the confines of their license, they need a taxi license to use smaller vehicles to transport residents with accessible needs, and that's in accordance with their request from URB. So we've had discussions with Straight Area Transit. They forwarded the information that's required. We have asked for some information that's been that has to be updated from the initial application. So it's council. I'd ask for council's consideration for granting a taxi license to Straight Area Transit, subject to the provision of up-to-date information from that organization.
Okay, Councillor McDougall, I saw that you put your speaker on. Go ahead.
I did, Your Worship. Thank you very much. I brought this to Terry maybe a month ago or so, and he acted on it good. We don't want to get into the same situation we had here years ago, though, where the straight that sat was picking people up at downtown and bringing them to Sobeys and taking them home. What the intent of this is, the way I understand it, is that wheelchair accessibility, that there's no taxis in town that have a vehicle that can take anybody with a wheelchair. So I'm hoping that there's a clause in there or something that states this, that they're just not going to be opened up again for picking people up at the tavern at 1 o'clock in the morning, taking them home.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McDougall. Terry, will there be, I guess, a specification with regard to the taxi license that I guess it would be primarily only used for persons who are differently abled for transportation?
Your Worship, that's correct. So we qualify the license, and the license will be for the transportation of those in need of accessible transportation.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess I just wanted to make note that we do have a quorum still with 2 elected officials and the mayor. Councillor McIver, do you have any questions or comments with regard to this consideration brought forward?
Yes, Your Worship. As Councillor McDougall mentioned earlier, that we dealt with this a number of years ago, and as long as the license specifically states that it's for accessibility, I don't have any problem with it. And I believe we had a verbal agreement with Straight Transit that they could use their accessibility in town. It was just as Councillor McDougall stated, picking people up, taking them to Sobeys. They were using dial-a-ride in town, and it created a problem with our taxi operators, as they are, I guess, Straight Transit's publicly funded, and their tax dollars were being used for competition against them. So that was my only concern. But if it's stipulated it's for accessibility only, that's fine with me.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McIver. I guess one question that I would have maybe to Councillor McDougall, since you sit on the board of Straight Area Transit, in terms of timeline, I guess you had mentioned that you kind of brought this to Terry's attention about a month ago. I guess would it be prudent to expect the council could make that decision this evening? Is that what would be desired?
Yes, Your Worship. I think it probably would be to make the decision this evening. The concern it has is there's a few citizens down at the nursing home and that have no way of transportation. That's the only way. But I'm under the understanding right now that the bus that they use is not, the lift is not working right. So unless they got it fixed, but I think we could make the decision tonight. Yes, Your Worship.
Okay, sure. So with, I guess, as an outcome of that question, if you're willing to make that motion, Councillor McDougall.
Yes, I would move the acceptance of the Strait Area Transit taxi license in accordance to the regulations and any stipulations that are in it.
Councillor McIver, are you willing to second that motion?
Yes, Your Worship, I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion on the floor? Any other further discussion?
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. So Terry, you mentioned that there was another application, so I'll hand things back over to you for the second part of this agenda item.
Yes, Your Worship. So there is another application from Mark and Teresa Kavanaugh. They currently operate, they have taxi licenses in Inverness and Richmond counties. And they're interested in establishing a taxi business within the town of Port Hawkesbury. We've been working with them over the last number of months to ensure that we have the required documentation. There are some items that we still require, but for the most part, the application is complete. And so it's for the consideration of council whether you wish to approve another taxi license within the town of Port Hawkesbury.
Thank you very much, Terry. So I guess, could you give us a little bit more information on that company?
Well, it's two persons from the town of Port Hawkesbury. There's two drivers that they've asked to license as well.
Okay.
And their applications have been submitted. Their insurance appears to be complete. There are some questions still with respect to inspection and insurance, and we're still working through that. Typically, this would be considered at committee of whole. The first one was brought forward because of the real need for those persons with disabilities to have service in town.
Okay.
And this one is brought forward because it's been outstanding for some time.
Okay.
So we can have further information this evening, or we can defer to committee of whole and review it at that time again.
Okay. Councillor McIver, as you have your speaker on, did you have a comment or question?
Yes, Your Worship, through you to Terry. Terry, so the application is not totally complete yet. All the information is not complete.
There's still a couple of things that we're verifying, so it's not 100% complete at this point.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would defer this to committee of the whole until the application is complete and Terry satisfied.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McIver. Councillor McDougall, do you agree with that suggestion?
Yes, Your Worship. Yes.
Okay, so Terry, we will move it forward to committee of the whole and see where, I guess, see if all the boxes have been checked off with regard to that request at that time.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other items or information with regard to this agenda item, Terry?
No, there's not, Your Worship.
Okay. I'm just going to let Councillor Coyne know that we've concluded that agenda item. Just one moment, please. Okay, thank you. So our next item is green card program. And I've actually had several conversations with citizens and also informal conversations with a lot of council members, Councillor Coyne, Councillor McIver, as well as Councillor McDougall. We certainly are getting some negative feedback with regard to the green cards and with regard to the duration of that 2-week wait between pickups. So what I would like to put on council's radar for consideration for our next budget deliberations is to have staff kind of find out what the cost would be to have a weekly pickup during the hottest months of the year, which would predominantly be July and August, to see what that could cost. That could potentially alleviate some of the challenges that citizens are having this summer with regard to their green cards, and particularly around infestations of bugs and that sort of thing, because of the heat and the duration of the pickup. And I guess what's council's thoughts? Is that some similar to some of the feedback that the rest of council have been receiving throughout the summer?
Yeah, yes, Your Worship. I received a few calls about it, and I'm sure the rest of council did. And I like that idea of certain months having a weekly pickup.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Councillor McIver?
Yes, Your Worship, I had the same complaints, and you were being pretty good by saying bugs. Because
No, there's yeah, the M word.
I get right to it. It's pretty. It is
Yeah,
gross.
it is pretty gross.
Thing to use, and
I've gotten lots of
agree.
that great. You guys can all be grateful that I didn't throw them up into Terry's presentation.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with during the, I guess, warmer months that we should look into a weekly pickup.
Thank you. Councillor Coyne?
Yes, I've definitely received numerous complaints about them.
Have you gotten the pictures though as well?
I have received the pictures, yes. And I totally support in the warmer months, maybe even more than just 2 months of more frequent pickups. The first complaint I got about these little creatures was probably around the end of June, 1st of July. Mm-hmm. And totally understandable, especially the last bunch of pictures I received. I think we should definitely look at trying to do something there 100%.
Absolutely, and I guess we're too late in the game, obviously, to kind of have any kind of intervention for this summer. We're technically winding down as September 22nd is the last day of summer, but certainly I think we should look at our options during our budget deliberations, just to see what we can do to improve the green card program for next year. But anyway, I appreciate council hearing me out on this, and I guess just is there kind of consensus just to add that to our budget deliberations at this point?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. So is there anything any of you would like to add to that, or we can move on? Okay, so we do have one approved addition for a borrowing resolution, so we'll hand things over to Erin for that item. Thanks, Erin.
Thank you, Your Worship. So you guys are probably used to this process. We have a balloon payment coming due on our wastewater treatment plant in October of this fiscal year. The amount of the balloon payment is $262,500. And with these refinancing, if that's what we choose to do, which is our recommendation, it requires two resolutions of council, one being a temporary borrowing resolution, which goes to the minister for sign off to allow us to refinance this amount. And the second is the pre-approval of a debenture, which gives Municipal Finance Corporation the ability to go out and sell debentures on behalf of the town of Port Hawkesbury. So we are looking to refinance this the same as the financing of the existing debenture. So there'll be no increased cost of debt financing. So we'll be continuing to pay $52,500 annually for another 5 years. So we're amortizing this over 5 years and keeping that principal payment the same as we've been paying currently. Interest rates are very good right now. So we feel this is the best way to move forward. So there's two resolutions that I forwarded along to you earlier today. Apologize for the delay in getting those to you. So the first one is that the town of Port Hawkesbury approves a temporary borrowing resolution in the amount of $262,500 to be refinanced under the same repayment schedule as the existing debenture in the amount of $52,500 annually over a 5-year period. So if somebody has any questions on this, I'm happy to answer them now, or we can move forward with these two resolutions, this being the first one.
Thank you, Erin. So maybe what we'll do is get a motion on the floor, and that way if there's any questions or discussion, we can follow through using that procedure. Do we have somebody willing to move this item?
I'll move it.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
Second it, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Any discussion or questions for the motion that's on the floor?
I do, Your Worship, through you to Aaron.
Sure.
What I'm hearing from you is that this is probably our smartest way of going about this. I'm assuming that the interest rates are low enough that by leaving the money in the bank now, we'll at least break even that way. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, what rates are low, and you know, it also from a cash flow perspective, it's okay for this one where the interest rates are low to pay it off over the 5-year period as opposed to pulling it all out of your bank account right now. So yeah, so we'd recommend we continue to move forward under the same financing schedule that we've had for the original 15 years of this debenture.
Thank you.
Any other questions or for the motion?
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved for the borrowing resolution. Is there any other follow-up motions?
So there's a second. Yeah, there's a second resolution which provides Municipal Finance Corp with the ability to go ahead and issue debentures through Treasury Board on our behalf. So that's the town of Port Hawkesbury adopts the resolution for pre-approval of debenture issuance subject to interest rate with Municipal Finance Corporation for the refinancing of the wastewater plant balloon payment.
Perfect, thank you, Erin. Do we have a mover?
So moved, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McDougall, and a seconder.
Second it.
Seconded by Councillor McIver. Any discussion on this motion, or if you're ready, you can call the question.
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Okay, the resolution is approved.
Thank
Okay,
you, Your Worship.
That concludes that agenda item. Okay, perfect. Now we have under future meetings, our committee of the whole, which is typically the third Tuesday of the month, which will fall on September 21st, and then followed by the first Tuesday of October, which is October 5th, for our next public meeting. I will now ask if there's any members from our gallery who have any questions with regard to any of the agenda items we've covered this evening. Going once, going twice. You have a shy bunch, that's okay. And of course, if any members of our gallery, feel free to reach out to myself or any members of council if you do have any questions at any future time with regard to any of any of our agenda items. We're happy to always to talk with citizens and answer questions. I would ask for a motion of adjournment at this time.
Motion moved.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Coyne. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, seconded by, I think that was, I see Mark's mic on, but it sounded like Huey.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, seconded by Councillor McIver. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, thank you everyone for your time, and have a great Tuesday evening. Thanks.
See you later.
Night.
Bye. And I will stay on for